Good?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
perfect in here.
That's what
Did
I
you put
do.
the light up too?
No, I didn't put that up for this. It was already up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't. Well, okay. First of all, obviously he's the gay son of a pastor, which I didn't really have to relate to very much. Well. Oh, camera's on. Nervous. Okay. Um, it. I mean, I related to him already just because that was me. You know, I was a gay kid growing up, Christian family, so it didn't take a lot of work to understand him because I basically am him. So yeah, pretty easy. um, Not much preparation either. I mean, I was familiar with that, lifestyle, having to pretend that you aren't gay so that everybody, respects you and thinks you're on the right path. So, yeah, I kind of I had to look back, remember a lot of things that happened to me and how I felt. And once I tapped into that, it was pretty. Phew. That was crazy. With the prostitutes and stuff, I almost, I mean, knowing they're actresses, they're just, part of the crew. I was like freaked out because they were all up on me, and I was like, oh, okay, no, they were hardcore. I think one of them grabbed me there. I was like, hey, there's a limit. Um, yeah, and then when we all got in that big room, it was like, so the energy was really high there. It was very, crazy and hectic at one minute, and then really like depressing the next minute. It was nuts. But yeah, that scene when we all started crying, wow, that was intense. But it's real. It's not, oh, well, what if this offends somebody? Well, let's cut that part out. We just put it in there and said, this is life. And if you don't like it, you can watch something else. It's really real. I knew that I wanted to do it. I was glad that he had asked me to audition, because it was the character. I really understood it. It was basically who I was growing up. So I wanted to show people that character because I knew I could do it because I'd already been there. So yeah, I definitely was all for it. That was nerve-wracking because it was my first audition since, like elementary school, which they don't make you audition. They just say, you're going to be Abraham Lincoln. So I got there and I was actually going to walk out, which you didn't know that. I was actually going to walk out. Like 4 people had gone up and, some of them had messed up parts, and you could tell it, and you could see it in their eyes. They were like, oh my god, I suck. And I was like, I don't want to do that too. So I was like 2 seconds from walking up, and CJ actually was like, no, stay here. And so I stayed for one more person to do their audition, and I was like, okay, my legs start shaking, and I'm like, I'm leaving. And they called me up, and Mr. Leo just took over, and I went up there, and I was still kind of nervous, and I think I stumbled over my lines. I cut out part of it, but after it was over, big sigh of relief. The B-roll. I remember a story I'm not gonna tell, but that was a long day. I mean, we were out there from forever. I don't remember too much. I remember I really had to go to the bathroom, and it was just like taking so long, and I was like, oh, this is driving me nuts. And then finally somebody said something about going to eat. Well, Jason said something about going to get food, so I was like, heck yeah, I'm going with y'all. But dang, how long were we out there? Like 8 hours or something? It was a long time, but I mean, it's a very in touch with nature kind of day.
You know how many times we came back off of your face?
Yeah, that was like 100 times. My neck started to hurt, and I wasn't actually doing anything. Oh wow, that was almost inappropriate. Did you get it? Whoa. Yeah, that was crazy. That house was dirty. Holy crap. Yeah. And then me and you sitting over in the leaves talking about everybody else. I don't know what we were talking about. I don't remember. But it was an interesting day. Very fun. Ben's cool. When I first met him, I was like, well, David had told me he's a little hard to deal with sometimes. You did say that. I don't care what you say. And so I was like, great, he's gonna be an asshole, I'm sure. And the first day when we were at that Boomtown, I didn't almost forget. Hello. We were at Boomtown, and he was sitting behind me, and he was just already ranking on me, and he said something about something Christian related, and I was like, oh God, I'm just not gonna say a word because I know he's gonna jump on my case. So I just kind of sat there and I was like, yeah, David's right. He's hard to deal with. But after that day, I don't know. I guess he got into his character and I got into mine, and I honestly felt like that father-son bond with him. You know, it wasn't. I mean, that uncomfortable father-son bond where you're like, my dad's gonna hit me for no reason. But you know, I didn't feel so uncomfortable with him to the point where, you know, working with him was difficult. It was fairly easy. I remember shrinkage. That was a cold day, and I was in a little Egyptian skirt my friend Rhiannon made 100 years ago. It's like silk, and the fabric's like that thick. So, not to mention I got blood, fake blood, thrown all over me, and it was like 12 degrees, and I was in underwear and wet, and getting hit with a leather whip. That was painful. Oh, and we walked through swamp pretty much, and I went barefoot because I didn't want to get my flip-flops all algaed. So I probably caught something that day. Chiggers, yes. And Jeff says chiggers can't survive in the cold, and I would like to. I don't know that that's true. We'll have to research it, but that day was rough. And then we got to walk through the neighborhood with all the rich folks, and I was in my underwear with blood all over me. I bet they were like, Lord Jesus, what's going on? Homos are walking down the street with no clothes on. I'm calling the police. Okay. But yeah, that was a crazy day. That was for me the hardest day of shooting, but also the most like inspirational, I guess. Like the day that I wanted to do my best, because, you know, after going through that shit, I was like, hey, I'm an actor. I went through it, because, you know, you always watch on TV how actors are like, I had to go in the mud and this and that, and I'm like, would I do that shit for a movie? And I guess I will. That was actually crazy and familiar all at once, because after my mom saw the movie, she goes, oh, you didn't really have to act at that part either, because that's like you growing up. That was our family. And yeah, it was pretty intense, but I mean, it was just like an argument in my actual, you know, childhood home. My mom would scream just like Rita did, I swear, just and so once they started arguing, I took myself back there, and I just tried to remember how I felt, and there were times I'd yell at them and tell them to stop acting stupid, and so it was just another day in the past for me. It's crazy. Yeah. Rita's cool, and oddly enough, just like my mother in so many ways. I mean, my mother is a tad crazier than Rita, a lot crazier, but she'll like clap. She'll, woo, crazy. She'll do that when she sees us. Rita's really cool. I mean, we bonded a lot before the movie actually took place. You know, we went out to lunch and things like that. So I got to feel like, you know, she was part of my family, and so it was easy to work with her. So we snuck into UNF, and are people at UNF gonna see this? And they can't do anything now. That happened a year and a half. I'm making this up. 2 years ago, this happened anyway. So we sneak into UNF, and they're all like, yeah, we're going to use the theater at UNF. So we go, and there's no theater that we can get into, and then there's one really big one that's unlocked. So we sneak in, and it's like all set up for Lily Tomlin. And Lily Tomlin at UNF, because so many college kids love Lily Tomlin. Considering college kids are a lot younger than me. Anyway, so yeah, Lily Tomlin's supposed to be up there, and I think the set was like all neon geometric shapes and crazy shit. I was like, is she doing that little lady in the chair stuff again? Is she gonna swing from this stuff? Anyway, so we're in there, and it's pitch dark, and we have to set up our faux lights, our little, you know, I got stuck in the mud out in the woods. Let's put up some lights or what. I don't know what you call those. They're just big lights. And we set those up in there. Anyway, and then I'm like, of course, me, mister, I don't break any rules or laws or anything. is all like stressing out internally. I'm like, we are still gonna get caught. I think I was the biggest bitch in that little amount of space. You know, I was flipping out like we're gonna get in trouble. So anyway, we go like hunting for extras. And we're asking kids, you know, you want to be in a movie? And they're like, yeah, yeah, are we going to get in trouble? And then I think we almost got, like, really in trouble because the cops were, like, the mall security, the security guys for the college were, like, they were like, casting an eye on us. We were like, oh, crap. So we went back there with these kids, and then I'm making out with, you know, Josh, of course, and, I'm like, these college kids don't know what's going on behind them, but it's crazy. So we're like, oh, it was crazy. My biggest memory of that was feeling like we were seriously going to get in trouble. And I think we stole something, but I don't remember. Did we steal something?
Yeah, we got the...
Oh, yeah. There was a little notebook about the whole, like, setup, like, time and schedule of what's going on in the Lily Tomlin show, and we walked out with that notebook. So if Lily Tomlin watches this and her Jacksonville UNF show sucked, it's David and Jeff's fault. They had the notebook. I swear to God I didn't touch it. That's so funny, yeah. Lily Tomlin's probably gonna hate me forever. I had nothing to do with it. I told him to bring it back, Lily. I love you.
She's good too.
I know. And hello, I love her. God damn it. Is that the next question? Because I thought there were more questions there. I'm just playing. David rocks. I mean, he's not like difficult. He doesn't get pissed off or anything, you know. Even when you can tell he's about to break your neck, he's like, okay, let's do it like this, you know. I mean, I don't know that the filming was incredibly like difficult in like the sense of any of us were just being assholes, but I'm sure like the overall, you know, magnitude of the project was a little stressful. But he never once did I think, oh, you know, he's a pain in the ass. I never want to work with him again. He knows what he's doing. You're welcome. He's looking right at me while I say this with one big eye. Very well. You know, we all joke that if they were going to be gay, they'd be with each other because everybody says that. Well, because they have such a chemistry. You'd think they were like, but no, they really vibe on a non, you know, a physical level aside. No, they don't ever rub on each other or anything, but on a physical, I mean, on a level other than that, you know, joking aside, they work really well together. I mean, you can tell they're like brothers, you know, and we have to keep that, you know, comment and the other comments very far apart. But no, they work really well together, and the script turned out to be phenomenal. And of course, you know, while David's directing, Jeff will have some comments because he contributed to the script, so he had to contribute to the directing a bit too. And they just work really well. Finished project was really good, you know, and neither of them were difficult. And I don't think I ever saw them argue once. So that's a good collaboration, if you ask me. It rocked. It was a really great experience. Of course, my first movie. I've never done anything like this. I mean, done like student films which were like 5 minutes long. It took a long time to do, a very long time, but to have been the first thing I worked on, it was a great experience, you know. And I'm actually sort of glad it took as long as it did, because it made it that much more important to me than if we'd done it in like a month and I moved on to something else. So I'll always remember, you know, the experience. Take it with me, and of course it'll always be on my resume. So, yep, that's about it, I guess. Last question. Peace out.
That's good.
Thanks.
Good job.
You look good the